Hi, this is Rob from dmbAlmanac.com with This Week in Dave Matthews Band History. This week is the 25-year anniversary of the 2000 Fall Tour kicking off in Minneapolis and Chicago. The band had played songs from an unfinished album during the summer tour and went back into the studio after the tour to finish it off. The sessions instead turned into the Everyday album, and the band hit the road almost directly from the studio. The tour started with a show in Minneapolis and then two at Allstate Arena in suburban Chicago. They didn't play any of the new Everyday album songs on tour, but the tour opener has the first Everyday outro in number 41, something that would continue for nearly a decade. The Chicago shows are best known for an impromptu Dave and Carter Halloween, and a show in Cleveland that was released as Live Track 64 caps the first week of the short tour. You can find all the set lists for the Fall 2000 tour at dmbAlmanac.com, where we never stop looking for information on older shows. Follow us on Facebook to get daily updates with everything that happened that day in the band's history.
Have you ever stopped to think about the fans behind a band? What is it about the music that keeps fans coming back for more? Or is there more? My name is Renae Lipsmeyer, and I am the host of this podcast, The Space Between Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the fans of the Dave Matthews Band. Each week, a fellow DMB fan joins the show to discuss their journey with the band. Welcome to the Space Between Podcast. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Space Between Podcast, the podcast where we talk about one band, a band that started in 1991 in then a small town, Charlottesville, Virginia. If you don't know the band that I am speaking of, stay tuned. We are going to talk about a band that is literally about to celebrate their 35th anniversary, and the band is, drumroll please, Dave Matthews Band. If you've never heard of Dave Matthews Band, I'm still excited that you're here and that you're listening to this podcast because we have so much to say literally about this band. So every episode, I have a fan from Dave Matthews Band to join the show to talk about their journey with this band. Where did they find it? Why do they listen to it? Why do they still listen to it? There's so many questions that can be asked, and every fan has a very different story. So I have almost 200 episodes now, and each one is a different person coming forward to talk about their experience with this music. And so if you find one that you love, great. If you find one that you don't like, that's okay. Skip to the next one. Every story is so completely different, and that's what makes this podcast really unique. So, of course, this episode is like every episode. I have a guest on the show to tell us why in the world he loves Dave Matthews Band. So tell us who you are, where you are from, and tell us something cool about you.
All right. Hello, everyone on the Space Between podcast. I am Brandon Peters. I hail from Indianapolis, Indiana, home of Deer Creek. Please don't call it Please don't call it Ruoff.
No, we don't even know what you're talking about.
Please don't call it the Ruoff Home Mortgage and Loan Amphitheater. Don't call it Klipsch. Don't call it Verizon Wireless Music Center. It is Deer Creek. I did note that Ruoff could have been Heroes when they took over, and it could have been Deer Creek Music Center or whatever, a Ruoff Home Mortgage and Loans Amphitheater.
Right, like brought to you by Ruoff. It would have been like a gift instead of like...
Get your name on it. Yeah. Pine Knob went back to Pine Knob. But that's where I am from. Interesting thing for me, right? That's the next one. I am the host and producer of, I have a podcast as well called The Brandon Peters Show. And I am a more movie-based podcast, but I will sidestep and talk DMB, which I have with our lovely, wonderful host here. You can check that episode out. We talked about Stand Up turning 20 years old, and it was a wonderful conversation. It's about 3 hours long. It doesn't feel it, though. Doesn't feel it, though.
I don't feel like any of it could have been taken out. None of it.
No, none of it. So that one got a lot of good. It did very well in the views and listens, and I got some very good feedback on it. So we'll go into more DMB on my podcast, getting around to it. But it's a movie-based podcast. It started back in 2020, the COVID times, but
Yeah.
I had a show before that ran for like 5 years. I've been doing podcasting since 2012, but I had ended a show I was doing that was a very, very, very well received and done show that I was done with, and I decided to go solo and start the Brandon Peters show. And the first couple of years was kind of fine. Every podcast isn't what it is later on. You find your vibe and stuff, even if you've been in it and for a while. But my goal was to talk. The coolest idea I had was one thing I liked listening to is filmmakers or film critics like talk about movies themselves. And
Yes.
so at the time and stuff on the internet, and when you get on socials, like the film critic gets to be the bad guy if they don't like everybody's favorite movie or something. But I'm like, these people watch and love movies more than anybody else. Being a critic myself and stuff, like they watch more movies and stuff. So I wanted to show the side of them that's like talking about movies like you and I or something like that.
Right.
And that was sort of the goal to start the show. Had interesting roundtables, and I really pushed the idea of people, when you drive to work in the morning, there's a morning DJ or a morning talk show you listen to if you're a radio person. And with podcasts, you don't have that. And I was trying to put out something daily for people to listen to. And then when the world got back to moving and going outside and stuff, that became
Right.
too much to uphold. So I'm very much a once a week podcast. One of the things I am known for too is my summer series, which is called The Summer of, and then there's a year at the end. It started with the summer of 82 at 40 because I turned 40, and the summer of 1982 turned 40, and I wanted to do a pop culture experience retroactively through that year. And I didn't want it to be just movie conversations. I wanted it to be like, here's the movies that came out this one weekend. What was going on in everybody's lives? Like, what they watch on TV that week? What did they listen to? What was on the radio all the time? What happened in the news? And we've done that. It's myself, Scott Mendelson, who used to be with Forbes, and now he is doing his own thing. And Aaron Newirth from We Live Entertainment and Two Black Guys Talk Godzilla, which is now it got nominated for a big award. And it's only a 1-year-old show, so that's pretty cool. And we've done 82, 93, 2004, and 2015, and now we're going back. We had a listener vote for what we wanted, what year they wanted us to do next.
Okay.
We're going back to 1986, where we're just going to restart this thing and do 86, 97, 2008, and 2019, which will be an interesting end because that's the last year before COVID changes everything. So if you really want a cool experience and to hear box office talk, news item talk, TV talk, and then critics talking about these movies, looking back at them and experiencing new ones or having a different idea years later. It's a fun time. Get a lot of praise for it. There's these people that play this box office game that's like a Wordle, but with box office numbers for movie geeks. And they love it because they're like, oh, yeah, they talked about that on the show. They like are getting weird random weekends right because they listen to the show. So I'll get tweets and stuff about like, thanks man, and stuff like that. So, and then other people elaborating. Yeah. And then there'll be ones like, there's this one guy that listens, and I love it because if I'm reporting, I think he's from the UK, and there'll be like a news story that I'm not from the UK, and I'm just reading off headline stuff from then, and he'll elaborate on what actually went down. So it's pretty cool.
Wow. Congratulations on all your podcast success because,
yes.
I don't know if it was the same experience for you, but when you do decide to start a podcast, for your very first time, was it new territory for you? I mean, it was very new territory for me, but did you have a background in something that was going to help you understand exactly what you were doing?
Yes. So I wanted to be a filmmaker when I was young. It was my dream to go to Hollywood and do all that. And I made my own films in high school. I entered in this contest called like the Media Fair for Indiana, which I grew up in Fort Wayne. And I went, and that's like the sectionals and regionals for sports, but for people making movies, doing arts and things like that. And I went to the States. Funny aside here, while we're on this journey, my junior year, my film company and I, there was a group of us. There's 4 of us. There's me and a guy named Justin Clifton. He and I wrote this script. We made this movie. We shot it from like November to February, edited it up, media fairs in March. It was called Blinded by Rage. And it was this thing about this governor coming to speak at a high school, but these terrorists came and like switched themselves with the janitor, and they're kidnapping the governor, all this stuff. thriller. It's awesome. And we did it all in 10. It was a 10-minute movie because that was the requirement for it. We had an original score done by the guy who was the student teacher or student understudy of our band director, and he'd mentioned me like, I want to do movie scores. So I'm like, here, score our thing. And we went to regionals with that, and we set like a scoring record for the entire state, like any round, because it was that good. It was like, oh, we're gonna do this. We're gonna go to state, and then we're gonna go to nationals the week that this was going to the state competition. This was 1999. A little event called Columbine happened.
Oh, gosh, yes.
And we have to take this movie with students portraying guys with guns. They were replicas.
No.
They weren't real, to the state competition. And our teacher, that was our rep, he's like, we're not going. I was like, we're going. I will read a letter beforehand. We're going. So we get there and we placed like 9th. And then the one, because like it was really weird because the regional competition, teacher, it was like people who worked in news or had been in the industry before scoring, and you go to state and it's like gym teacher, librarian. Like, how'd this happen? So we lost, and the winner was my year in volleyball, and this like little 4th grade girl came out and accepted the award, and I was like, okay.
Wow.
And they usually, when you get to state, they pick the schmoozier one, because the next year I made a film, beat my own record at regional. Here I go to state again, and I was runner up to Memories of My Senior Year, which was just these schmaltzy, that's what they fall for. I made entertainment. Yeah. So anyways, I went to Ball State, left Ball State, went to Los Angeles. I got a job there. My DMB love starts in that part of the story. But I went for telecommunications, worked a lot with equipment and stuff like that, did audio. I was really ambitious with my audio projects too. Like professors were like, you made a movie trailer? No one's done that. Like I took this DVD of this stupid Burt Reynolds movie called Heat that me and my roommates used to like giggle at. And I made a trailer out of it. I did like all these crazy things. So I had like audio training. And then when I went in Los Angeles, I did sound for some movies and things like that. And then I moved here to Indianapolis in 2008 and mainly started writing for Scott Mendelson, who I mentioned before he went to Forbes. And I wanted to guest on podcasts from that. And then I got into podcasting from that. And my audio background was really easy to transition and figure. I just had to find free programs that I was wanting to do because I could be cheap. And from there, I took off with podcasting. Ended up, I wrote for a website called whysoblue.com from 2013 to 2023. And I left there in 2023, and I've been just podcasting from then. So I started by these little shows with podcasting, and then went to start my own one called Cult Cinema Cavalcade. And then after that was the Brandon Peters Show. But I've also been a part of, locally, there's a group called Podcast Indie that kind of died when COVID happened. I was a co-director of that with Brad Shoemaker from Creative Zombie Studios. And then in the past year and a half, I got invited to be an ambassador for the state of Indiana for podcasting for a new group called IN Podcasting, like Indiana Podcasting. Uh-huh. And we have these quarterly meetups where we invite speakers and things like that and help podcasters. And so I've been very, very esteemed in like leadership and helping podcasters as well. And I also host and schedule and program the live podcast stage for PopCon, which is a pop culture convention here in Indianapolis, as well as I judge, coordinate, and host their podcast awards show as well. So I didn't imagine being a podcast guy all the time, and everybody comes to me with podcast stuff, but I don't know. That's where I'm at with it.
But you love it. You love it, or you would not be doing it.
I do love it. I get worn down from it, but then it picks me back up, and it comes back around a lot of times too. And I put a lot with my podcasting thing. Another thing that helped me too is, I'm very into, since I was a writer and stuff, I put structure and everything like a show and stuff into my podcasting that I've done in the past. I'm a little less meticulous of an editor as I used to be, just because time is a factor and I like to get it out of there. Yes. But I used to be a much more meticulous editor. And my Summer of series is a lot more, it's a lot more my focus on my editing and stuff, as you'll hear clips and things. And I do dig and find things to go and transition, because when you listen to people for like an hour and a half or something, a clip will maybe wake them up and get them back on board or something like that. So,
Exactly.
like with our stand-up
Exactly.
episode, I clipped in things from the making of stand-up.
You did such a good job. Like when I listened to it for myself, because of course, me being the guest, I didn't know how it was going to turn out because I knew that there would be an editing process and all of that. And I gave you full permission to take out anything that I said that was stupid.
Just 6 things. That was it.
It turned out really good. I mean, 6 things is a wonderful number for me because it could have been 100 because we did talk for almost 3 hours. But you did a really good job, and your professionalism, your voice, like everything about you does not surprise me that this is where you are because you're good at it. And so just know that.
Well, thank you.
I'm excited to have you on my show this time, but I want to ask you one more question about movies.
Yes.
Because I think that maybe you can answer this. So the album was from Dave Matthews Band, Come Tomorrow, came out in 2018. There was a song called Samurai Cop. Now, the story goes that Dave named that song after a movie called Samurai Cop that he thought, in his words, was just awful. And they thought, why not name it that? So have you had an opportunity to see that? And if so, what are your thoughts on that movie?
I've seen Samurai Cop multiple times. It's one of those, it's a Mystery Science Theater 3000 type movie. It's pretty silly, goofy. Not one of my tops in that category, but I did see it in the theater because they did some of the people from Mystery Science Theater 3000 created a group called Riff Tracks Live once that show ended and it had been a while. And they do live events and you can go to the theater and watch them. I actually went to Nashville and saw them live and got to meet everybody, meet and greet and stuff like that. Forget what year that was. It was like Cinema Cavalcade days. I think it was like 2016. It was 2016. And but I saw them do Samurai Cop was one of the movies they did, and I went in the theater and saw that, and they made a Samurai Cop song. So there's 2 songs. There's 2 songs called Samurai Cop out there because they made Kevin Murphy, who used to be the voice of Crow T. Robot on Mystery Science Theater. He makes songs for the movies they're doing, and they did Samurai Cop, so he made a Samurai Cop song. So there are 2 Samurai Cop songs, and to this day, I'm like, I got so mad at Dave. I was so excited that song was called Samurai Cop. I laughed. When I came up, I was like, what in the world? I'm like, there was no song in that movie. What is he doing?
Right.
Like, and then I heard about it. And then when he started, like 2016, there's Samurai Cop. And I really liked that song too. When it came, I was like, wow, this is some good stuff. And then he started calling it Oh Joy Begin. I'm like, do not change the title of that song. And then at Deer Creek that year, he was like, this one's called he's like, that was called Oh Joy Begin. And the crowd was kind of like, he goes, Samurai Cop. And everybody went crazy. But then they parenthesesed it. Remember we talked about the parentheses thing?
Yes.
Samurai Cop, Oh Joy Begin. I'm like, I get it, because somebody might, they don't say Samurai Cop in the song. So
that is the name of
it.
The
Is
song.
the name. And again used to be Bob Law. Like, come on. So
stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Guide Through Grief. I'd like to share a clip from the podcast so you can get a feel for what's in store.
It was definitely Dave Matthews Band. Their music became therapeutic. Steady as we go. There was one night Leslie was in the hospital when she was in a coma, and I had no other prayers. I had no other things to say. And I found myself just singing her that song a bunch that week. I really leaned into their music to get through.
I'm glad you had Dave.
So, Brandon, take us all back to the very first moment that you ever saw anything or heard anything about Dave Matthews Band.
Okay, so I think I tried tracing this back in '95. I think might have been the first. Somewhere I was a big alternative music kid, and we had the weirdest hodgepodge of, like, if you listen to one of our teen like radio stations of like alternative music, you would get like 9 Inch Nails followed by Joan Osborne, followed by Smashing Pumpkins, followed by Blues Trap. It was like, none of this goes
Yeah.
together. What did you? It's like, here's
Right.
what the kids are listening to. That's not hip hop. That was what. That's what it was.
Yes.
Like, it started with a grunge, but then they're like, well, those people are young and playing music, so they're alternative. It's like, okay. So Dave Matthews Band, I think I probably had heard songs, but didn't know it was them necessarily.
Yeah.
But like 95, I remember I'd heard of Dave Matthews Band. I think I knew What Would You Say. It was on like a MTV Buzzbin CD that was around. And this kid in my middle school was like, you guys want to go see like Dave Matthews Band? They're coming to, and there's the only time they played Fort Wayne, Indiana as the NBC Theater before they ever played Deer Creek even, I think. And I was like, he's like, dude, my brothers in college, they're like, they're the biggest thing. They're the big, I'm like, I don't even know who they are. Whatever. We didn't go. So I missed my one chance in life probably to see Number 36 and True Reflections because it was played that night. There's no tape from that show though. That's a bummer. That's a bummer. Unless they're going to live tracks it, which who knows. DMB Live if that ever comes back to life. So it is the Embassy Theater in Fort Wayne, Indiana in 1995. They did play Minarets there too. It was during when they were with Big Head Todd and the Monsters. And I don't know if they opened for them or because they switched Big Head Todd and DMB, but then DMB was like way more popular with the crowd. So they ended up being more the headliner. But the real thing happens where Too Much came out as a single, like it debuted, had this wacky music video that I liked. And I was like, that song sounds like I'd never heard. So like they sound like a full orchestra and they're not. Like it was really like big and it impressed me. And so 1996, that song comes out and like the week Crash came out, we were going, I don't know what the cousin first, like my mom's cousin's kid.
Gotcha.
Her name at the time was Angie Harris, but it's Angie Akers now. She's a volleyball player at Notre Dame. Still to this day, like their best volleyball player ever. She just won an Olympic gold medal a couple years ago as a coach.
Wow.
Every time Olympics came up from her, she had an injury and wasn't able to play in Olympics. But as a coach, she just won a gold medal. But we were going to watch her play at Notre Dame. And so for the ride there, I was like, I need a new CD. And we went to Target. I bought it at Target and I picked up Crash. Like, you know what? That Too Much song is cool as hell. Let's do this.
Yeah.
And my parents had a van and I was in the very back of it. And I just had my headphones, my Walkman, and this Crash album. And what a journey that was because I had not heard a band like that. Music like this was way different than my Smashing Pumpkins and Soundgarden. And like all that stuff, and it was like it could be heavy in a different way, and just the music. Like I really was taken with on that album when I first went through it. I was taken with Crash Into Me because like it wasn't a single yet, it wasn't all everywhere. Drive In, Drive Out really got me. Two Step, I was just like, what is this? This is just and as a headphone listener your first time too, and it's like you're hearing everything, and it was just like, whoa. And then I had to tell my friends about it, and then like. Yeah. So Crash was like awesome.
Tell me what you liked about Drive In, Drive Out. That is a song I like to talk about often. Mostly what I'm talking about is the difficulty level of playing the guitar in that song because a lot of people cannot do it. And because it has a timing, what do you like about it? I mean, I love it, but what do you like about it?
It was just like there's the I like the chorus because I don't know. It felt I can't put words on it. But one of the things I really liked was the breakdown, but the end, like dum 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 dum.
Yes.
And that was just like I could listen to this go on for like 10 minutes on its own. It was And then when you go see them live, it's the part they have the hardest time nailing every time they do it. But
right after that. Da 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 da, and then they go off into this party, right after they do that. So it's such a shifty song, but all in good ways. Like it is one of my favorites.
And as the song just like moves, yeah, that was when it is later on that I go to my first show, I was hoping to hear that, though I wouldn't hear it until Alpine 2010. But yeah, so I had this, I didn't go, they didn't come to so when I was growing up, I never left the city of Fort Wayne to go to a concert because everybody came there. And DMB had already been there, so I thought maybe they'll come back. They didn't. Like, I saw, like, at the Fort Wayne War Memorial Coliseum was a haven for all the cool alternative rock bands and all that stuff. We got it. Like, I saw the Foo Fighters there. I saw my first concert ever was Smashing Pumpkins and Garbage. And I saw them there.
Jealous.
Yeah. It was melancholy, but it was after Jimmy Chamberlain OD'd and that keyboardist died. It was the rescheduled one. So I had Matt Walker from Filter on drums at that one, but it was awesome. It was memorable. I saw like a band I really like that I don't know if people know of anymore. It's called Real Big Fish. They were a ska band. Saw them in Fort Wayne, open for like, they were like an opener. I saw like them. This was wait. Yeah, it was, we would have bizarre lineups. Like, so we had this band we had Real Big Fish, and then we were supposed to have Cherry Poppin' Daddies, and they canceled. So they had this local band named Frog Pond come on. And then we had Marcy Playground and Goo Goo Dolls.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I love sex and
that's the only good one. Like every I wasn't familiar with them, and then every song they played after that sounded like Nirvana knockoff songs. I was like, I wasn't familiar with them, but Goo Goo Dolls was better than they were pretty good. Yeah. They really liked playing there, so they like did like 3 encores and was like just playing stuff that was like nobody knew. I think they were just testing stuff out. But yeah, you see stuff like I saw Foo Fighters, Gravity Kills, Ben Folds 5, and we had this local band called Scavosis that was getting big, and then Crystal Method with them too. Like just the randomest. So like everybody was coming to Fort Wayne. They would either play the Coliseum or they would play this bar called Pierre's, which Pierre's pissed me off when I was a teenager because I couldn't go there, but like band I want to see is there.
Right.
So I never traveled. I never thought of going. And then when I went to college, my first year I stayed in Fort Wayne, went to community college, and that's where, so I liked DMB, and that was where I had like this crossroads where they released I Did It, wasn't a fan of that song. And I go to pick up every day, and like everybody, this is the weirdest thing, everybody in the world that made, like, DMB at that time was a band I really liked, but I wouldn't say they were my favorite band yet.
Yeah.
Everybody in the world that made fun of me for liking DMB was there buying every day. And I was like, I felt betrayed, like hipster, I guess, at the time. And I just kind of was like down. I was on DMB. I didn't pick up the album. I was just like, whatever. I was like, I felt like, oh, now you guys like that? Like, you guys picked on me? And it was like jock people and things like that.
And so
like,
you did not buy it?
I didn't buy it at the time. And then Busted Stuff, liked, I did on my computer. So this is the Napster days. I did like download Space Between and Every Day and cherry pick some stuff. But then when the Busted Stuff came out, I was working at Circuit City. I was at Ball State in Muncie, and I got it out of the listening station as well as the big light box thing. But that's gone. It's in the. So I gave it to somebody before I moved to Los Angeles or whatever.
Awesome.
But yeah, so I like Busted Stuff, but it wasn't. And then I wasn't paying attention. It wasn't until like 2006 that I really picked up and ran with it and haven't looked back. To be that was when I was living in Los Angeles, and my friend Torrance came to visit with another mutual friend and like called me up on like Friday. I was like, hey, would you want to go down to San Diego and see Dave Matthews Band tomorrow? I was like, well, I guess I'll need to check that one off of seeing it. So sure. Didn't realize it was going to be part of the stepping stone to a life-changing event there. So
yeah, none of us know until we've already like we're in it and we're like, well, shit. I mean, nobody knows. It took me 2 shows. It was to finally be like, yeah, I'm gonna go see them anywhere they play.
Yeah, that was the thing with me. I saw my first show. It was awesome. Thought it was great. Cool. I will say one of the most amazing things, though, is like if you ever go to Chula Vista, I don't know if it's still like that. I haven't been there since 2008. Their porta potties and stuff are lined at the back of the wall in the lawn. So if you're in the lawn, You don't got to leave. You just stand there, wait.
Nice.
Yeah, kind of nice.
That's
I
nice,
don't know what
yeah.
happens if one falls over and goes down the lawn, but strategic placing. But their lawn is really high. It's like high up, and
Gotcha.
yeah, it's not as it's like high up compared to other lawns, but it's a good place. But yeah,
So first show, let's back up just a minute. So you knew who the band was, you blah blah blah, you'd heard all the things, and some friend asked you, "Hey, do you want to go to a show?"
Torrance, that's his name.
Torrance,
he is who I have been to the most shows with still to this day. So Torrance, yeah.
So he invited you. Now, was that your first show, or was that the one you passed? No, you went.
No, I went. I went to it.
Okay,
yeah.
you went. So with all of your knowledge that you had until that point, was the show surprising to you as far as the layout, the way that they did it, the extended versions? Like, what was your thought going into that?
I thought Seek Up was really long.
Yeah.
That was, first show impression. I came in with silly wants. I'm sure someone in the parking lot hearing me go, I want to hear this. I wanted to hear Space Between at my first show. Didn't know they weren't playing it at the time. It was during its not playing at phase. And I wanted to hear Crash Into Me. I wanted to hear Two Step Too Much. And it played a lot of Crash and stuff. And I knew I knew most of everything I saw there, but I wasn't familiar with some stuff, but Seek Up, didn't know what it was, even though I listened. I didn't pick up on the Remember Two Things thing back when I was listening, but yeah, it was a very, very cool show. And I look at it, I'm like, yeah, that was loaded with Crash songs. It had an encore that was really it had I think he, I didn't know it at the time, but he tour debuted Butterfly in the E1, and then it was What Would You Say in Tripping Billies with a nature intro, and I was and that was a really cool encore for the first show, playing this nice little suite.
Yes.
I hadn't seen Because of Winn-Dixie, so I didn't know it was from that. And then two other most popular, most known songs, so I was that's an awesome encore.
Yes.
So yeah, it was cool. I really enjoyed it, and they played the Hollywood Bowl that next week, which was much closer than San Diego for me, but I did not go to that show.
No.
But Robert Randolph guest at my first show on Two Step. Still the longest performance I've ever seen was at my first. I had 3 22+ minute song performances at my first show. Alfredo Ballesteros, saxophonist who is now passed away, he guested on 7 songs. He was sitting in with the horns most of the night.
Wow.
There was that. So it's some pretty cool stuff. And when they announced that live tracks from Chula Vista and it was 05, I'm you missed it by a year.
Damn,
my first show could have been, could have had it released. And everybody, I felt good because when that got released, they're they needed to go 1 year further, had better set lists. So I was okay, good. Vindicated.
Right.
Vindicated. And I've listened back to that show and I'm yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff.
So what is the next step on your journey? Because we know it's continued because you're here. It's 2025. What's the next move?
So I had a friend, I'm moving in Los Angeles that weekend, but they asked me to go to the Vegas 2007 shows, which became Live Tracks 9 past, because I was exhausted from moving and I didn't want to move and drive to Vegas. And so, or the way I'm just wanted to, so I missed that. And that haunted me until I actually saw Halloween for the first time, because I missed that.
No.
I would have had Halloween right off the bat.
Yes. Yes.
The same person had bought, so they met a girl and went a bit overboard on gift buying after a date.
Yeah.
Including 2 nights or both nights of the Hollywood Bowl for DMB.
Wow.
And said thing didn't work out, but I got to be the benefactor of that other ticket that a girl had. And that's when I got hooked. Was the 2-nighter Hollywood Bowl 2007, which, featured Danny Barnes both nights, but also night 2 had John Mayer on number 41. It had
holy shit,
Stephen and Ziggy Marley on the Exodus, and it had number 34 dedicated to Dave's wife because she turned 34. And it had one of the most, we talk about segues with DMB, which is really just they finished the song and started the other right away. Not real segues. This had the encore 1 song was American Baby intro. And during it, and this is like the Butch's Taylor's last great stand, but like during their jam out and stuff, like he starts weaving the jam into Gray Street, and it just marvelously becomes Gray Street. It's not like the
Yeah.
things where they like, stop and then, like Nancy's fades out and Warehouse starts right away. Like it was an actual like instrumentation. It was like the melody, like everything changed, went into Gray Street. And that night was just, fire. Love that show. If people ask my favorite show of all time, I usually go back right to that one because that's the one that made me a bigger fan. Had Dream So Real opening, which I know was complained about at the time, but being a newbie, I thought was kind of cool. They opened with this slow piano jazz number to open a show. I'm like, it's kind of like, hey, welcome everybody, let's get to it. Followed by Two Step. I'm like, yeah, there we go. But yeah, Danny Barnes songs were like really good. That like Don't Drink the Water with him and Lion Our Graves were awesome. Had Shotgun, man, and very cool. I was wanting Idea of You again because when I went to my first show, I really latched on to Idea of You. I'm like, man, that thing's got hit single written all over. This is really good. Never happened. Never happened. But yeah.
But
so,
we think that it's amazing, and it is. Yeah. So what was it about that show in particular? I mean, I have to admit, the Hollywood Bowl brings in itself like this feeling because it is just so historical and so beautifully done now. A lot of concerts that they have there, you can bring in picnic baskets and wine bottles. And I mean, like, it's just such a different venue. Obviously, it's in Hollywood. It's got the Hollywood sign behind it. It's just a special place to hear any show. But what was it in particular as far as the band, minus the guests, that made you really go, yes, this is what I'm going to be doing?
Well, it's just kind of like it was kind of like all the things I wanted to see like happening in a night too. Like I knew John Mayer had guested with them at Virginia Tech earlier in the tour, and I'm like, we're in Hollywood, he's got to come out, right? I didn't realize how crazy of an idea that was, and he showed up. I was like, oh, there he is, John Mayer. And I hadn't seen 41 yet. I wanted that one.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen, that was my first crush at that show. I wanted Idea of You and Shotgun. Those happened. Lion Our Graves, like that was my first Lion Our Graves. I wanted American Baby Intro. And that one, Danny Barnes guested on You Might Die Trying. And that's a song that I was like on before. And I heard that and I was like, there's something here. And then the next tour would be like, oh yeah, there's really something with this song.
Yeah.
Talking about growth of a song. But yeah, I was starting to get the whole seeing the set list shiftiness and starting to learn about the song chasing and things like that. And the thing going into the Hollywood Bowl too was there was a chance he was going to play Sugar Will because he had teased it at Chula Vista to open the show the night before. So everybody's like, oh, Sugar Will, Sugar Will. It was my first time hearing a Last Stop chant. They were chanting it at the Hollywood Bowl. Didn't happen.
No way.
Didn't happen. But yeah, cut songs, I learned about that because there was night one had Typical Situation and Fool to Think cut, and night two had Dancing Nancy's cut. So we are talking about how Fool to Think and Typical might show up night two because they were cut night one. And it did not happen. And I got a funny story about those cut songs later on in things. But so it was just really awesome. You left like, you felt, that show felt like you saw some important show that they were going to do something really special with after you saw it, and it's never been released. Like,
no,
it's never been released. And then you thought like, oh man, they put really like everything in here, and they were really happy about it. But nope. Still to this day,
wow,
not happened. So.
Yeah, well, there's still hope for the future, right?
There is. I've heard it's been insinuated that the Marley camp is what keeps them from releasing it, signing off on it, but that is not confirmed or something. But I know people who know some things, and that is the, like, Mayor would be cool with it. Danny Barnes obviously has been on releases before, so hope maybe one day they're like, okay,
right,
let's just see.
Right. So that was an amazing performance. What keep it going. Tell us what's happening next.
I dive into message board stuff at antsmarching.org at this time. I create my account. I got my stats. I'm learning this stuff. I'm chatting with people. I'm getting ready for the 2008 DMB tour. I signed up back in the day. Antsmarching.org had a thing where they would text you after the show and they'd have like the set list, but it was all in like, so if it was like the space between got played, it'd be TSB. And that was how you'd read, and it would like read like this. So you didn't know. Sometimes if they busted out a song they haven't played in years, like, what the heck is da da da? And you'd have to go, you needed to go on your computer and look it up. So I get all ready for this 2008 tour. I'm watching sets every night, like literally songs coming up on a screen. But it was exciting, have TV on. It's like, oh, they play, chat with people. And then these are going to be, big shows. Like, so I decided, I'm going to the Staples Center. That's where they're going to play in Los Angeles. And then I got tickets to go back to Chula Vista. I did not go to Chula Vista in 2007. So I'm all hyped. Then Leroy gets in his accident. And it's like, oh, man, this is going to be a compromise shows or whatever. But Jeff Coffin, okay. And then the sets don't really take that big a hit. Really after, like, they're still playing the same stuff. So it's like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. And then Staples night one, my roommate and I go, and I go to we find our seats, and there's like the openers playing, and I go to get a beer, and the woman behind me in line is like, hey, did you hear? And I'm like, did I hear what? They're like, Leroy died. And I'm like, really? She's like, yeah, he died. And I'm like, this probably has been happening at every show this summer. Like somebody like,
right.
Oh, all right. I'm like, oh yeah, whatever. And then I'm on my phone, and it's like old. This is 2008, so it's not like the best internet or whatever. And I went to AnsMar, and the front page at ansmarstreet.org is like, oh shit. So I go back with beers. I'm like, are they going to come on stage? That'd be insane, right?
Right.
They're going to come out. Someone's going to say, sorry, everybody, we're canceling, let the opener finish. And it's just crazy. And like in there, and then like they really did come out and play a full show. And it was the best thing under the worst circumstances, because it was so emotional that night. Like every song had some extra sauce on it. Like everybody knows that bartender. Everybody talks about that bartender opener, but Proudest Monkey was big. So Damn Lucky was huge. Loving Wings was big. Like Two Step. Like it was nutty. And Dave talking about it. And then the crazy thing was, while we saw the announcement of like the death and everything on our phones or whatnot, it was when they had this cage thing that like rose up during that show and that tour a bit. And like when you saw the looks on their faces, that is what confirmed he was gone, was the looks on their faces. And you were just like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this. It was nutty. But it was great. It's weird because when people are like, what are your top shows of all time? Like, I feel like if I rank, or if I always leave that one out, because I'm like, I feel weird saying like, oh, it was a great show.
Right.
And then we were like, oh, they're not going to play tomorrow. Right. They did. And like, they played the next day. Now, that show, they were definitely out of steam from the previous night. You can forgivable. And then they played again the Chula Vista show 2 days later. We're like, really? They're doing it? And then Chula Vista, they seem to be a bit more. I really like that Chula Vista show. Got My First Sugar Will, Lover Lay Down, and Stole It Away. They played Dreaming Tree there. They played Water into Water. Like it was a really cool show. And I want to you talk to the Almanac guys. I have submitted before. During Don't Drink the Water in that show, they did this little intro to it, and he is chanting the Gray Blue Eyes chant in that, and they will not accept that on their thing, or my emails get lost in a spam folder.
Well, I have a direct phone link, so give me that information.
If they can just be like,
we'll do it.
We looked at it, we think it's this instead. But I was like, that is literally, it sounded like Gray Blue Eyes to me. But maybe it's a happy accident. They consider it.
You've now given me more homework. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And just like and they put it on antsmarching.org, I caught a tease of the riff from the Alpine 2010 Night 2 show before Needle and the Damage Done, 2 years before that song came out. So
holy
he was messing with that. Yeah. That's the fun of going and listening to shows a lot.
No, of course it is.
So 2008, Big Sad. I got to see the post-death shows immediately. But it didn't hunker. I'm like, okay, I was pumped for whatever this new album was going to be. It's going to have Shotgun on it, An Idea of You. And no, it didn't. But I moved to Indianapolis to be with my now wife. we decided it was better to me move there than her move to California.
Yes.
Never regretted that decision.
Yeah.
But yeah, from there I went to, she bought me for my birthday tickets to the Vanderbilt show for the spring tour. That show is awesome. And if you're a Warehouse member, that was your free download like 2 years ago. And it's awesome. And I was always wondering about that show being a release because it was pretty highly touted when it came. It had the most close to a full short Blue Water ever, which was awesome. It wasn't even on the set that night. So that was cool. I had my first recently there. A really funny Jimmy scat that I liked. Yeah, Two Step was there, was the one seek up of that tour. Yeah, last stop tease. He was a dick. He played the first verse with him and Tim and then like went into Satellite of all songs.
What?
And I hadn't seen this Last Stop yet at that point. I was like, oh man. So I did that, and I did Deer Creek that year, both nights. Deer Creek rejoined with Torrance at that one, and then we've been going since. That 2-nighter, 2009 was really cool. That was a big sad because we were all hyped from that night 2 show, only to come home and find out like he hacked off 4 songs, including like Halloween, Granny, and Gravedigger Encore. It's like,
no.
Dude, like I was cool with the show, and then I was like, no, because we got the big thing of 2009 in my notes I need to talk about. So, I said I was on the message boards a lot after that. I started going to the Deer Creek thread. I moved here in Indianapolis. I had no job and started hanging on there. And there was a really, like, they used to talk about the Deer Creek thread like we were freaks because we talked so much in there. It would get like thousands upon thousands of pages of chatting. Just chatting, guys. So what's special about Deer Creek Night 2009, there's a guy in there. His name's Kevin, and he was like, yeah, I want to hear Say Goodbye. Never heard it before. I'm just going to start tweeting Stefan, play Say Goodbye at Deer Creek.
Oh, okay.
And we're like, okay, sure. And then we started doing it with him, and it was just fun. It was like a month or 2 of doing this. And then night 2, Deer Creek, tour debut, Say Goodbye, the only Say Goodbye of the tour.
Wow. You guys manifested that. You put it out in the world and made it happen.
Well, this begins a chain. So in 2010, the very next year at Deer Creek, we were like, should we try that again? That worked.
Definitely.
It had to be. There was one play of it. One. It had to have been. There are people denying it's coincidence. I'm like,
of course.
So we talk, and then like some guy comes in there that like never talked in there and said Warehouse. Because Warehouse didn't get played a lot in 2009. Fair. But people started going with this, and I'm like, dude, if you go to like 5 shows, you're going to see Warehouse at some point. Like, what are we doing? That's a waste of... Fine. So it was Warehouse. I was wanting Spoon. That was I was like, I want Spoon.
Yes.
Spoon. I was crybaby for Spoon. And then 2010, night 2, Danny Barnes comes out, plays Spaceman with them, stays on. We're like, okay, Caveman or Road again. Tour debut, Warehouse. Old school, Under the Table and Dreaming intro. 2 for 2. 2 for 2. So we're like, what? We did it again. Okay. So they take a break in 2011, of course. And then 2012, I'll go back to my journey, but this needs to keep going.
Yes.
2012, we decide typical situation. It was on the Liberation list. Yeah, let's do typical. Night 1, Liberation, typical situation. We did it 3 for 3. 3 for 3. Okay.
And this was each time you were tweeting Stefan.
Just.
Wow.
Because I could only go to the night 2 Seville in 2010. So that really... So yes. I was like, we're not going to just tweet Stefan. We are going to tweet Brandi Carlile too. Because Dave likes Brandi Carlile and do anything. So if she's like, yo, your people are annoying the shit out of me, that's going to get to him possibly before Stefan even. So we start badgering the both of them. And then I had heard that at 2010, during the fall tour, these guys were taking plastic spoons to shows and holding them up for a couple shows before
Yes,
Steve-O.
they were on the show. Yes, they were on the show. Yes.
So I was like, that worked there. I stole their idea, and I got this thing of spoons, and I got some pit people to meet me in the lots and do the same thing. Then night 2, so Spoon debuted at Hartford that year, but I'm like, maybe they're warming it up.
Right.
And then the craziest thing, and I got emotional because it worked, because I've been wanting to see freaking Spoon. They finished Don't Drink the Water, and someone comes out with a shorter mic by Dave's. I'm like, oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. Oh, he's like, I want to thank the opener today. I want her to come out and do a song with me, Brandy Carlisle. I'm like,
oh my God.
And it was Spoon. And everybody knows about that one. Everybody knows about that one. I was like, oh my gosh. So.
Well,
that's
thank you. If I can speak for the behalf of the fans of Dave Matthews Band, thank you for persisting for these things to happen.
4 for 4. 4 for 4. Now, next year, 2014, we did Hello Again at Deer Creek. Did not happen. Didn't happen. But there was a funny thing in the 2012 one, by the way. If I can go back, the one where they played Typical Situation.
Yes.
So, Typical happened. And back earlier that year, I went to SPAC for the first time, got my first Halloween. And I was in the morning before Deer Creek Night 2. And I was talking to Kevin, the guy who I mentioned started these Twitter campaigns, as they called them. Another one that worked was Minarets for Mansfield. They did that one. They got a Minarets tour debut. Good job, Mansfield. So we were talking in the morning about the show the night before, and I said, hey, I just noticed songs that had been cut from shows of mine that I still haven't seen yet. This year I crossed off this. I'm like, the only one I've never seen is Fool to Think. How about you do it, Dave? And he goes, yeah, that'll happen. Night 2, Fool to Think, tour debut, only one of the tour, had that big extended intro I told you about. So I don't know if somebody was perusing the message board at the time, but it's quite a coincidence that that happened.
You never know. You never know. And I have solid sources telling me that they are all in the Reddit chat boards. They're all in our social media. They are watching. They are looking for the things the fans want. And so I think you benefited.
Yeah. And I think, like, I've noticed, like, I've gone on to, so if you go on antsmarching.org, my name is not hidden. I am BT Peters. No, I don't have like Raven 3441. I'm not like that. I just have my name, and I do a thing. If you go in the Deer Creek thread, I try to keep it there so I'm not like forcing people to it. But I do venue stats where I think it's more interesting to look what he's playing at the same place year to year than throughout the tour a bit. To be like, well, most of the people filling a venue live in the area. So is the show different from them? Is he mixing it up for them? And I've noted things in there that happen at places. Like last year, I think I'm like, man, Camden hasn't had a captain in like blah, blah, blah. And it tour debuted and dropped there. Like, okay. And then stuff in the tour. Although the Space Between still has not been played full band at the Gorge since 2002.
So I did hear a story about that. And do you want to know what I heard?
What did you hear?
So I heard the reason why he has not played The Space Between at the Gorge since that day is because it is not a song that his wife likes, because he wrote that to another woman. Okay. I don't know any facts to say that that is true, but that is what I most recently heard, is that is why he doesn't play it at Gorge and she's always there.
I had heard for the longest time that was the case with Busted Stuff.
I mean, you never know.
Who knows? Who knows what? Yeah. But off air, I'll tell you a funny side note about Space Between at the Gorge that I cannot talk about here.
Well,
sorry, listeners, but
sorry.
So I have the weird correlation. But if you want to, if you go on Ants, just go to the Deer Creek thread. You'll find my I like to talk about what hasn't been played at a place before, how long it's been since, what isn't played frequently there. Like Camden, this year I was like, I mentioned it. I'm like, they haven't had a So Right since 2014. Boom. I was like, So Right can be like at Deer Creek, we get plenty of So Rights, but like Camden, like, because I try to explain to people like, oh, they get better stuff. I'm like, no, it's different everywhere. Like the songs that they are like, oh, we see this all the time, you're pining for, but then we get, we at like a Deer Creek, or if you go to Alpine, are getting stuff that they aren't getting frequently too. I think he just has a feeling for certain songs in certain areas. I'd be curious to know, but yeah, so yeah, that's the weird
But I
song
also
correlation
think that's
thing.
like I like to look at it as DMB as a whole, like as a company, they're marketing geniuses, right? So like
Mhm.
if we do all this, like not play this song for here and play this song for here, what it does is it encourages people to travel, right? Which
Exactly.
I don't know if that was the intent, but it seems to be working, whether that was the intent or not.
Right. They seem to be in recent years giving people more of what they want, because a long time ago, not too long ago, used to be like, oh, if I got one or two nice ones there, it's enough. But now it's like, wow, most of our sets are full most of the time of some legit stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, I think because I know there's people that don't like or understand. They think discussion about set lists and stuff is complaining or arguing or something. But I'm like, that's what keeps the fire. Like when I started going, and when people had started going in the past, the change and comparison and chasing and why did I miss this, or why like no one's saying you had a bad time at your show or your show was bad or
Right.
something. But
Right.
it's fair. Like with this body of work, you got to compare. You got to know. And I am amused of the statistical stuff with DMB. Like that is what
Yes.
has kept me going. That's what keeps me such a huge fan and that I love and stuff. And I love the performances and stuff too. But like a lot of times, and I think someone once said it best, was like, when it comes down to it, it's the song, stupid. That'll be it. But I understand there are fans of different times that don't want to hear certain stuff. I'm a little more positive on things post 2004 than some hardcore people that I talk
Yeah.
to, but I I see it like and they've got such a vast, or like they're not some underground band that they hit a level of pop culture success long ago, but brought in people with that and became a name and became something like bucket list band to see, that they got to appease these people. There's a whole new, and I think there's a whole new crowd they fascinate me the most right now, that came in with the Sirius XM stuff,
Yes.
because
Yes.
there's a whole new, and I'm like seeing their song demands, and I'm like, what? You are
Yes.
chasing Why I Am? Are you like,
They're new.
yeah,
They never,
and
yeah.
they're allowed to. They are allowed
Yeah.
to. I'm not, and like one of my friends, and he's like, man, he's like, as much as I have ones I don't want to hear, I realize that's someone's favorite song going on at the moment at any point in the show.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of, and friends, like back to 2010, I want to point out, I met my man, Brian Harrison. He joined up with Torrance and I were like a trio a bit. Though he's got a funny story, because we met him Deer Creek Night 1 2010 in the lots. And first off, he meets us in the lots, and there's this kid that was like obviously selling some sort of drugs out of his backpack. But this was during Deer Creek's time, where they had undercover people were like, hello, fellow kids
Yeah.
type people. And this kid with the backpack's walking around. And then all of a sudden, we heard this like grumbling, and then we heard a pop. And then this kid going, don't tase me, bro. And like they like popped a taser on him, and then like took him off, and like he was bloody from the gravel, and like they left his flip-flops there. They were just there. And so that started that. And then Brian goes to the show. This show is famously delayed by like 2 hours because a monsoon went through. And Brian had told us he's only going to night 1 because he's got a wedding the next day, and he's from Michigan.
No.
That's quite a drive. So he went,
Yes.
and this show ends after 1 a.m. at Deer Creek.
Wow.
This dude goes, he drove, he got tired, and he tells us somewhere, and he like slept in his trunk. This guy's that hardcore. Brian Harrison is.
Yeah.
He sleeps in his trunk, and then we met him up at Alpine. We met him, and then so 2010 is one of my biggest years of doing shows, and then we all three went to night 2 of Charlottesville because that was before the break. We don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
We trekked there, and we drive. They picked me up in Indy at like 10 at night, and we started driving to Seville, and we're watching this. Or no, it picked me up at like 8. Sorry, it's a long drive there, but we're like watching the set unfold. It was like burn after burn. We're like, okay, we saw Big Eye Fish a couple times this year. That's cool. Oh, Spoon, gosh! And it was just like, should we turn the car around? Should we? And they were like, okay. Well, there's Christmas song. We saw that at Wrigley. Christmas song's fine. Okay. And it was like, well, there's that new song, Blackjack. We haven't seen that. There's Blackjack got played. Okay, never mind. We're like,
Oh my goodness.
we're like, okay, well, as long as, well, you know what? Halloween's on the table maybe tomorrow night. There we go. It's like, then he gives the encore. It's like Sister, Watchtower. And we're like, okay, it's over. Cool. Nope, Halloween. We're like, what? But we got there.
He sang Halloween as the third song of the encore?
Yep, not on the
Oh
set
my
list.
goodness.
Not on the set list. Yeah, and we're like, So we got to Seville as dawn was happening.
Yeah.
Or dusk, right? It's dusk. Early in the, or dusk, dawn, whatever. I'm crazy. So we got there and we walked the town with like, it was like ghost town. Like nobody was up yet. We saw the Prism Coffee House, saw the warehouse, saw Miller, like walked around. And then we went to, there was a brewery giving away the poster for that night. It was the Treehouse poster.
What?
And we went there and we just decided to go stand in line early. We're like, well, this is what we're going to do. We couldn't check in the hotel yet. So we go there and we're like third in line and the people come out from the brewery and this line is just going for a long time.
Yeah.
And they're like, you guys are here to tour the brewery? We're like, a poster. Like, is everybody here for the poster? And everyone's like, yeah. Like, we only have like 20.
They were not prepared.
No. So that's the allotment that DMB gave them to give away. Like, that's
Gotcha.
it. And we're like, we're going to get one. We're like fourth in line.
Yes.
And then, the wheeling and dealing. And I got offered crazy stuff for that poster.
Sure.
But I'm like, nope,
sure.
I'm holding on to this poster. This Charlottesville with 3 T's poster. And we got the poster. We went to Miller's and had a beer. And then we went to that show that night and I saw a lot of people. And the funny thing was, my wife was jealous because she didn't get to go. And this is another coincidence thing. She was like, said before you go, well, I hope they play Spoon night 1. They did.
Dadgummit.
Little meanie. But you know what? So one of her big chaser songs, until this day, she still hasn't seen it, is The Long Black Veil. And I said to my friends, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to text her at some point in the middle of the show, be like, oh my God, they're playing Long Black Veil. And then I met people that night. I met Kevin, the guy we talked about the Twitter campaign thing. I met him that night in person. I might have met someone else, met some other people, and I told them my story. I'm like, I'm going to text my wife and tell her playing Long Black Veil night. Like, it's funny. They played it that night, and it was the one time of the tour. They hadn't played it since 2008, and I got getting these texts like, well, looks like you don't have to lie to your wife tonight. It's like,
I know that's what I was going to say, is that's a sweeter deal because like you didn't have to worry about
crazy. It came out of Dancing Nancy's into Long Black Veil. I was like,
wow.
All right. But yeah, cool show, memorable encore. 2010 was awesome. I had a great time. Wrigley Night 1, I was a bit pissy, but I enjoy listening back to that show. My pissiness was based on, for what 2010 provided song-wise, it offered nothing. It was a hits show. I guess if I saw Write a Song for the first time, but that was not what I was after in 2010.
Yeah.
I was like, where's the So Right? Where's the Cry Freedom? Where are these songs? And they just, night 1 was the hit making machine. But I have to say, like, while the crowd was jumping off, they were dancing in the aisles and stuff. Like, it was nutty. So I enjoyed night 2 a lot more. But night 1, I was just kind of like, well, that's it. And I'm like, are they going to play any? Like, I was worried. I'm like, they're not going to play Last Stop this weekend. I waited till the very end.
Yes, as they do.
And toss that cornbread in as a troll to all of us. That's what it was. Like, I knew it was. I was like, he knows what he's doing. He's pissing everybody. Like, oh, they're really going to leave on cornbread? It's like, nope. So But yeah,
I
there's
like
22.
how, yeah, and many people have said this, but for better lack of words, I do believe that the band really has a percentage of them that really likes to fuck with us. You know, they're
But
just
yeah.
like, we know what you want,
Yep.
but we're playing hard to get, you know?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. When 2012, when I went to SPAC night 2 before Two Step, they were chanting "Last Stop Hardcore," and Dave like did his little like shooting ducks thing, and then he goes, "Hey, hey," they're like, "What?" And everybody calmed down. He's like, "I love it when you make me dance," and then just played Two Step.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
But yes, where are we at here? 2011. I go to Caravan, to Chicago Caravan. Awesome stuff. Night
Mhm.
3 was unreal. Blue Water at the Dave and Tim set was cool. I saw Blue Water like 3 years in a row. That was really weird. Haven't seen it since,
Wow.
but like that was like
Yeah.
the like no one ever sees that song thing, and I got 3 under my belt. That's cool. But 2012 going to SPAC. SPAC was important and crazy because I told my friend because I said, how about 2012 no Alpine? We go to SPAC. We go to SPAC. All right, fine. So me, Torrance, and Brian go to SPAC, and on SPAC night 1, this is important. This is the crew coming together type thing where it is.
Yes.
So SPAC night 1, we're walking in the lots, and they're really weird there because it was like no drinking, but if you have a red cup, we won't say anything. Like they made like you had to put it in red cups, and yeah. So we're walking by, and we hear, because we had listened to it, there was the tape from Mansfield like 2 nights before, and there's this old guy listening to the tape. We're like, he's listening to the Mansfield tape. That's kind of cool. Like,
Yeah.
we decided to just go talk to him,
Yeah.
and it was like, oh yeah, we talked. They go to shows. Him and his wife. Okay, cool. Yeah. And then like the next day, we parked next to them. Like it was like we were like real close to them again, like talk to them more.
Oh.
Then I find out that they go to SPAC every year. They do they're from Texas. They do SPAC every year. They do Alpine. They do Deer Creek every year in Gorge. Yeah, that's where they go.
Wow.
I'm like, okay. And they're like, so you want to meet up at Deer Creek? I was like, yeah, they would like exchange numbers and stuff. And that's how I met Matt Heindel and Ann Heindel, who we've been going to shows with. He got me to the Gorge finally after years for the first time in many years. But I've been going. So since 2012, we've been going to shows with them. And that's been our little unit.
Yes.
At Deer Creek, it'll be different because there's a lot of people we know.
Sure.
And my sister will come to Deer Creek. Sometimes she's travels. She went to Wrigley one time. She's been to Riverbend with me before. But yeah, that's like our little unit. And then like Matt's sister Kelly started coming, and she goes to all the big places with them too. And she's in California, does that. Yeah, that was like how the crew kind of formed. And there've been people here and there since. But yeah, it was really crazy. And Anne is from Indy and has family in Indianapolis, and the family that they stay with when they come here, just down the road from me, like literally 3-minute drive.
Wow.
How crazy is that?
I love that.
So yeah, so that's how we roll. And then I got to mention my friend Aaron Holland and Heather Holland, who we meet up in the lawn with at Deer Creek. When we go, they have a section, and their group is crazy and fun. And Aaron and I are big stat nerds with DMB and stuff. And it's funny, I kind of found him, like I knew him from college and stuff, him and his wife. I was friends with them, and they know my wife. We were on the message boards one time, and he came and said something that looked like he said the same thing he said on Facebook. I was like, is that you? And he's like, what? And then it's like, yeah, found each other on Ants that way. And then we did a trip. I went to Star Lake, my first Star Lake show with him. Did a trip in 2018 together doing that. But yeah,
it's amazing
a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, it's amazing how, when starting to really dig into the band, whether you're going to shows or not, of course, going to shows makes it easier to meet people, but there's still an element of being able to meet people online.
Yeah.
But it's funny how your community of people in your life that you meet up with at shows or talk to about shows, how fast it grows if you're open to that.
Yeah. Well, and we used to have the Deer Creek thread. We used to do meetups at the tailgate at Deer Creek every once in a while. I've met a lot of people that I talked to from that. I think 2012 might have been the first time we did that. We had a picture that comes up every once in a while
Yeah.
about that. Michael, he's a good friend of mine now. He's like the most tried and true dedicated guy to the Deer Creek stuff. He comes around. He is a fun guy. He's been to a lot of shows, and we've usually meet up with him. He usually joins us too. He's been joining our tailgate last couple of years more often now. So just
it's funny how it grows, but Dave fans love Dave fans because we all have one thing in common. And that one thing is that we love this music. And we also really like to hear other people talk about it because we can talk about it.
Well, yeah. And we grow up together. And we they understand this specific thing about me that I love a lot. And and it's hard to explain. And the humor that comes with it and stuff like that. Like, Aaron Holland went to the tour opener in 2021, and I don't know if he'd been to a tour opener before, but every time he was texting me, he's like, they open with a tour debut. And then he was like, another tour debut. He's like, man, I've got 18 tour debuts. I'm like, all right, man. It was
for show, man.
It was pretty funny. It was pretty, and I joke. I was I joked with my friend with Torrance when we went to Columbus 2024 fall, and I was like, oh, this is an indoor tour. This is an indoor song debut for me. I've never seen this one inside. And I kept doing that. And he was shut up.
This is the debut song while I'm wearing this red shirt. Never heard it in this red shirt.
Yeah. Indoor. With Brian Harrison, he's the funniest thing. Because Dave will wear the same stuff all the time. He's like, oh, we got plaid Dave tonight. This is going to be a special one or something like that. Like t-shirt Dave. He's been t-shirt Dave a lot more these days, which, dude, you can be shorts Dave. I think you would sweat maybe 5% less if you were shorts Dave.
He must be uncomfortable with his legs. I don't know.
Yeah. Something like that. But they got t-shirt Dave, plaid Dave. It's funny what will come up. Well, coat Dave. There's coat Dave. There's scarf
Hell
Dave.
Yeah, blazer Dave.
Blazer Dave, scarf Dave. Yeah. It's the funny versions of Dave are like, oh, I bet the set's good tonight. We got t-shirt Dave. He's ready to let loose tonight. It's like things like that. Yeah. Just silly thing. The only DMB fans are gonna laugh at or know or something like that we could say, and it's hard to it's hard enough to find those people. You got to keep your niche that does that kind of stuff for you, and talks about performance or hey, the live tracks chat or check out this tape, this show, type thing.
Right. So. All different kinds of fans, but it's funny how easy it is to meet people that are going to be a good combination within your own group. I mean, we've all met fans, and I say this time and time again on many podcasts. We love to talk about how the Dave Matthews Band community is an amazing community filled with people full of love and joy and acceptance and inclusion. However, there's probably a 10%, if not larger, percentage of that group at that concert that claim themselves to be DMB fans who are just complete assholes, right? Mm-hmm. So I try to always remind people, while it does sound a lot alike, people are able to meet people easily and click with them and have this relationship. Not all the time does that happen. And so I never like to give false hope for those people that may be listening to this that are like, oh, I just need to get to a show and I'm going to meet these people. There are other ways. And just be as cautious as you would be anywhere else because, like I said, not all Dave fans are good people. And so really don't go by all the times you hear of everyone at Dave concerts is nice. Ooh, I was married to a man for 18 years that loved Dave Matthews Band, and he's a complete asshole psycho. So I'm here to say that that's not true. So move forward with caution.
This is why I prefer lawn nowadays in my old age, because I can move away from those people with ease. Yes. I got stuck next to a-holes in seats. So there was one time at Riverbend in 2016, I thought I was I'm going to have to do this the whole show. There's this guy it was this big guy, and he was near my wife and I, and he was drunk and and he swung up and his elbow was going to go in my wife's face, and I caught it
Holy crap.
And he got mad at me, and I was like, "Ugh," and his girlfriend was like, "You need to," and they left and never came back. And this is like 2 or 3 songs in.
Thank you.
I was like, "Woo!" But he was like gonna hit me. I'm like, "You were gonna elbow my wife like right in the nose," and
Yes.
yeah, I don't think you wanted to be murdered this evening or something. No.
No.
And there's another one too. Like I forget what show it was, but my wife wants to see Dreamgirl. I root for all,
Yes.
and I know that's not a popular one for people to say, but like she was yelling for it. She's like, Dreamgirl, and these 2 kids in front of her, like, who said that? And she goes, I did. And they're like, oh, okay, Dreamgirl, yeah,
Very
Dreamgirl,
firm in her decision.
She made this like
Dreamgirl.
just dead, like I did, and she will. She doesn't sit and chat about DMB and stuff like. No, she goes to show, but like she will bring that moment up. She was like, I did.
Yes, I will
like,
claim it. No embarrassment there.
It's pretty funny. So yeah, but yeah, 2012 year there. 2013 was that Spoon year, so that meant a lot to me. Went to Riverbend the first year. It was the first year I went to Riverbend. I went there like the next 4. 2015, I loved 2015. It was that second 2 sets year, and Alpine was amazing. It's got a live tracks. Deer Creek was the let you down moment, which that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen at a show, was when he started playing Let You Down. The whole place, you felt the shock of the entire place, and then the entire place sang along with him, even though he's like he's just trying to like figure it out and say it, but the whole place was singing it. That was a really cool moment.
Yes.
And like, yeah, 2016 was a solid year. That was a Samurai Cop year and stuff like that. So I did Riverbend, Alpine, and Deer Creek again because they were going to take a break. Fun stuff, family stuff. So I'm with the Heindels at Alpine, tailgating before going to Alpine that year. Brian had car trouble and couldn't come, and Torrance was only doing Deer Creek that year. We put our offer on for the house I live in now at a DMB tailgate. And we're like, we're really doing this? We're the Heindels like, do it. We're like, yeah. We put that down at a DMB tailgate. I remember that.
What a fun story.
My wife's like, you remember that, but you won't remember. Yes, I am a problem with things. Like they will talk about they always talk at our tailgate. They will talk about my memory, what I know about. They'll ask me like, they're like, you're like my personal almanac. What's this? And I'll make tailgate mixes with weird stuff on them, like mess with people.
No, that's great.
Yeah, the one year though, I think it was that Fool of the Think year. I made a mix that was like shit we're not hearing at Deer Creek 2012, and Fool of the Think was on there, and it got played.
That's hilarious.
Bad mix. Didn't do it right.
Well, or maybe you did. Put it out into the universe.
Yeah, put it in the universe. Got one. So 2017 had Nashville. 2017, that was one of the coolest places to see a show. Is Dave and Tim. Wife and I went there. It was just on the other side of the bridge. There's the football stadium, there's the bridge, and then on the other side, it's like a 6,000 seater place, and that was really, really cool. Tim played an amazing his solo, which was called High Energy D from that night, is phenomenal. And I normally at a Dave and Tim show, people kind of snooze off or do whatever when Tim does a solo. He had this place enraptured in like what he would like it, and I've never seen it like that. Again, he's never played that solo again. So, and I when I got the tape, I was like, it was digital file. I wasn't really like, hey guys.
Yeah.
And like, they were all like, whoa. I'm like, yeah, never played again. But it's called High Energy D. But that was a cool show. And then I went to Pine Knob for the first time that year. Saw a Dave and Tim Dreaming Tree and a Dave and Tim Spoon there. And I really like Dave and Tim YAM. I think I like Dave and Tim YAM better than the full-on electric one, but that's just me.
Yeah.
I went to Blossom for the first time. 2018 came back, did that Star Lake trip. But important thing, 2018, I took my son to his very first show. He came to Deer Creek Night 1 with us. He was 6 at that show, and we took him, and like, we were wandering in. I saw friends from the message board. They're like, oh, little guy, like, what do you want to hear? The one he wanted the most was Pig. They had not played that with Buddy Strong yet. He wanted Pig again and again, Halloween and Minarets. Oh, that child. But the second song that night was Pig. First one when Rashawn played the violin part. And everybody's like, what?
Did you
That's
just look at your
crazy.
son's face and
I
just
was
like try to absorb that?
yeah, I was just like, what? Yeah, he was like, what? It was crazy. Yeah, so it took him, and then the biggie in 2018 was the discovery of my Mecca, Columbus, Ohio. Don't know what's in the water in Columbus, Ohio. Maybe it's a best kept secret. But if you live in the area, you should go to see DMB in Columbus, Ohio, because I saw the 2018 show where that 2018 tour people soured on real quickly. And I get it because I lucked out and went to some shows that I was like, I was happy with them. I wouldn't have a problem. But I see some of the sets and it's like, you could have thrown a bone here and there. So I get some of the complaints, but there's a lot of people discovering the band for the first time that year.
Yeah.
And stuff. And I'm high on 2018 because I went to the Columbus show, which was the tour opener for the fall tour. And it had the first ever You Never Know open. Like I was expecting I'm just going to a show. That was my expectation for that one because I'd seen where the tour went and stuff. I'm just going to a show. And You Never Know opener, I was like, oh, okay. And that never happened before. And I was like, okay. And they didn't play that song much in the summer. And then he played Samurai Cop. And then he came out with his black baritone. And I was like, Bayou. Here it comes. There was a song I had been wanting to hear forever that I missed on the 2006 tour when I went to one show that year. It was my first show. And it died. And then it came back for one play in 2011 at the Atlantic City Caravan, which I was hoping to see at the Chicago Caravan. Didn't happen. That was the only play. And then he started strumming and it was Kill the King. I could not believe it. And the thing is, I was extremely excited for that. Nobody in the building probably knew what it was. It definitely not my area. And I think I told you before, if Dave would have looked to his left, he'd have seen this like static area and this little bopping thing like going nuts.
Yes.
Okay, this was worth the price of admission to come to. Well, then they played the first Say Goodbye with Buddy in the band. It was just good songs and stuff. And then they did like Sweet Emotion into Minarets, which was awesome. And then 3 songs later, it played Sleep to Dream Her, which is one I like quite a bit. I might be controversial. Couldn't believe that they don't ever play that. And I was like, what is going on here? And then at the Encore 1, it was Break Free. And Break Free played a bit in 2016, but it was one that, you wouldn't expect him to come out now. And every time I saw the baritone, I was like, it's Bayou. Here we go. It's Bayou. And it wasn't. And the whole night. And I had forever wanted to chase one of the most envious shows I've ever watched was Hartford Night 1 2010, where it just was Liberation City because it was like JTR, Hello Again, Busted Stuff, Kit Kat Jam. And then they played Break for It for the very first time ever, which we're like, oh, we knew of that song. They, of course, knew of that song. But like it was like, oh, they know they could play it. I'd always been jealous of that night. And I finally got my Hartford 2010 night 1 there at Columbus. And then years later, they came back to Columbus in 2021. What a night there too. Not as good for me as the 2018, but someone had their Hartford night that night because they had Broken Things. They had Liberation. They had a Dive In Liberation. They debuted Madman's Eyes. It was an awesome night. It was just, that one was awesome. And and then I went back to Columbus in 2024, all tour. In 2023 to then, I hadn't caught Busted Stuff. I just wanted Busted Stuff. They played it one time on the fall tour, and I got it there. I was like, Columbus Magic. They also had I'll Back You Up. Ants opener, The Maker. It was good. It was the third place of the Columbus shows, but it delivered in the way that Columbus does.
Yes, always heard good things about Columbus. Ohio in general has a massive fan base. So Ohio is always a great place to see a show.
And I'm really liking Blossom. The last couple of shows I've went there have been spectacular.
Such a beautiful venue.
Yeah. And it's like, it's turned into, okay, now I have to go to Blossom every time. Like, because the first 2 shows I saw at Blossom, I was like, okay, cool place. And then the last 2 have been heaters where I'm like, okay, guess I'm going here regularly, I guess. But yes. And then so my son's 2019, that was my first trip to the Gorge. Got a Cortez with Warren Haynes. That was pretty awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, that was, first trip to the Gorge was great. 2020, we all sat at home, unless you went to Vegas. And 2021 did Deer Creek. 2021 I liked because everything was spread out and they kept coming back to my area. So I got to
Right.
Deer Creek in August, Riverbend in September, Columbus and Grand Rapids in November. You can plan your life like that. Like that's separated weekends rather than the cramming of one week.
Yes.
So yeah, 2022 Deer Creek. Went back to the Gorge that year, but I went to CMAC for Dave and Tim that year. And I'd always wanted to go to the Finger Lakes Community College show they did. And I was like, I was kind of in a need to do stuff. I had a friend that passed away that year, and I was kind of in this, like, I got to do stuff. I'm not going to let anything hold me back. So I took me and my son, drove out there, went to it, and it ended up being like the last one they did there. Picked the right time.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Then I did the fall at Nutter Center, it's no Columbus, the Nutter Center. 2023, just did Deer Creek, and I did one night of Northerly, which I checked out, which had heard horror stories, but didn't think it was that bad. Yeah, it was. I mean, I'm not like, oh, this venue, but I'm like, you guys, if someone would have said, hey, the lawn is kind of like a music festival, it makes a lot of sense. And it's like, not that bad there. The only problem was leaving. That sucked.
Yeah.
Did Farm Aid. That was cool. If Farm Aid is near you, go to it. I wouldn't like jump on a plane and go to Farm Aid anywhere or something like that.
Right.
2024, I tried to do all the Midwest, but I couldn't do the Alpine 2 makeup. And then last year, I just did Blossom and Deer Creek.
Which are, I mean, that's
80 shows. Deer Creek. Yeah, it was 8. Show 80 for me was Deer Creek Night 2, which in my life recently, like I've told you about this podcasting and stuff like that, I've been, I'm glad I'm able to go to as many as I have, like hitting up a lot in 2024 was cool and stuff like that. But if I could do Deer Creek and a travel show and then a fall show, that's always good for me because I am guest at event, like I do conventions and stuff. Like I've been a frequent guest recently at like Days of the Dead convention. I mentioned PopCon, which we were doing 2 shows for a couple years, doing one in Indianapolis and then one in Louisville. I've been a guest. I'm also working on a Doctor Who documentary for PBS, so that takes my so it's like there's live stuff. Like I'm not able to just like jump away from
something
things.
About being a husband, a father, and having a job.
Yeah, that stuff too. Yeah.
Those things, but we all have them and it makes things beautiful, but it makes things a little bit tricky when you're trying to plan to go see your favorite band, right?
My one thing I ask is just when people is like, just wait till the DMB tour dates come out and I can know when Deer Creek is, and then don't plan it. Don't put something there.
Yeah.
I'm very happy that PopCon is in May this year, or next year, so it will not conflict with Deer Creek.
Good.
So I'm very excited about that. But it was a real close one last year because Deer Creek was rumored to be the same weekend as PopCon that year. I was like, but didn't happen. Deer Creek wound up being in July for the first time in years. So that was good for me. I was very happy about that. So don't take Deer Creek away from me is what I say. It's my backyard. Like it feels stupid if they're playing here and I can't go. Like that's. Granted, I will take the professional decision over the fandom one, but just like, yeah, like they're in my backyard. I gotta go.
Yeah, you do. You do. So what is it that keeps you staying a fan of Dave Matthews Band? Like why after all these years do you continue to come back for more?
What keeps us coming back for more Space Between podcasts, right?
I mean, you gotta throw them in while you can.
Yes. I am a father and I enjoy puns. So I've had the lowest I've felt in my fandom where I was like, was 2014. And that's where I had to reassess and reorganize how I feel about the band, how I see them. Because I was in a big song chasing thing that year. And I was really excited that they brought back Pay For What You Get, which is the only song I haven't seen on Under the Table and Dreaming. Still to this day. And they came to Deer Creek and decided we're not going to they played it at SPAC. They played it at Camden. So I'm like, oh, it's a 2-nighter song. Not at Deer Creek, though. No. And I was pissy. I went to a show, Deer Creek Night 2, 2014. I liked Night 1. quite a bit. It was good. It was good stuff. But night 2, I was like, here we go. Here it comes. It didn't happen. And it wasn't a set that I was really, the electric set, I was just kind of like, but I admit though, that's one of the loudest crowds. So I'm like, they were doing something right for the crowd that night.
Mhm.
And they had a Halloween tour debut in there too. But I'm like, that doesn't save this. But I was pissy. And I was like, I need to really look at how I'm doing things. Because then I went to Riverbend and they didn't play it there either. So I was a little bummed about that. And that was a really good Riverbend show too. And I was like, they played Halloween again there. Like I was grabbing Halloween, a song I'd been chasing forever, and just kept seeing it. I'm like, okay. And I had to learn how to appreciate, redo things. And the next year I decided I wasn't going to look at any sets until my first show at Riverbend.
Yeah.
So they were doing 2 sets again, and I had no idea they were playing Stone in the acoustic set. I was like, oh, this is cool. It kind of had a nice little thing because I had been to Riverbend the previous couple years, and the show started with Little Redbird, but the next song was Butterfly. But it was kind of a journey because in 2013, in the encore when it came out, he teased Butterfly. I guess there was a kid with a sign. And then in 2014, the acoustic set, he teased Butterfly again. I was like, oh, whoa, that's 2 years in a row. And then he actually played it the third time back. So I'm like, well, I hope whoever had that Butterfly sign was there for that one.
Right.
So I reassessed, and that's where I started looking at the venue stats. And then I started looking at that. I'm like, actually, you know what? Dude's doing a good job. Dude, he like really, and he's gotten better too. Way better. But like I was starting to find appreciation and geeking out on shows I wasn't at. And like, oh, you haven't played that, like, and
yes.
And it's funny because there's a lot of things people complain about, but I'm like, one of the things I was most impressed with when I've done this. So Sledgehammer came back in 2018 and then haunted us for like, I thought back in 2008, Sledgehammer was probably my favorite cover they busted out that year. And then like they do with some things, they're like, hey, people like it. Let's play it all the time. But I noticed with Sledgehammer, while it shows up on a tour a lot, he's not playing it at the same places. Like now Spat got a lot of Sledgehammers, Gorge got a lot of Sledgehammers. But if you looked, like Sledgehammer, like, oh wait, this place has never seen Sledgehammer, or this place hasn't seen it since 2008, or this one they hadn't had it in 4 years. Like he was strategically placing Sledgehammer to where he could play it a lot, but he wasn't playing at the same places a lot.
Yes.
And that really kind of was like, that was eye opening, and I really kept diving into these stats and like doing it, appreciating it that way. Now the ultimate thing is going to a show. That's what keeps you going. That feeling, like if something.
Yes.
And I think only a DMB, like there are places, my happy places, and a DMB concert is in the top of the list because like, it's just like, yeah, you feel this, I don't know, there's this thing, this wave that comes across you through a night of DMB, the mystery that happens, the elation that comes, the laughing at like, oh, the message boards aren't going to like this one or what, like that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a journey every time. And, you get better at like, it's funny because like when I first started going to show, I didn't know what was next, but now I'm like, I recognize guitar. I'm not a musician. I don't play any instruments, but
yeah,
I notice guitar, and that's kind of fun. I know people know the hands, where his hands are at things and can call, like, that's nutty. And I have weird moments where like, I was at the Gorge in 2019 and like I heard something real quick. I'm like, oh, he's playing Drunken Soldier. And they're like, everybody in the pit was like, what? And then it started Drunken Soldier. Like they hadn't played that with Buddy yet or anything like that. It's like, crap, I heard that, like, and I hear like, I could hear a weird sound and be like, oh, that's coming.
Yes.
So
that's a whole different level of fanhood that comes with this, right? And it is a game that I love. I love just for me, there's so much self-satisfaction for me to be able to name that tune before they even play it. Like just the slightest little noise from the guitar that they just picked up. And I'm like, this is what I think it's going to be. And it is. I don't know. It's exciting.
I did that with a tour debut of Busted Stuff at Blossom this year. And my friend Torrance was with me, and he was like, shut up. I'm like, no, dude, like Stefan just played a sound that I know that's only knows the Busted Stuff. And they played, he's like, holy crap. Like, yeah.
It's a great game. I love it.
It's fun. And playing, like, I quit playing the setlist game back in 2010 when I won it that night too, and it was a show that I was at, and I just downplayed how cool it would be, and then they played something very similar to that. I'm like, I'm not jinxing myself ever again. Done
Nope.
with setlist game. Done with
Yeah.
it. But yeah, no, there's so many, like, I have, like, I'm I'm working on a Doctor Who documentary. Of course I love Doctor Who, and there's some similarities and stuff. Like, there's different versions of, like, hardcore fandom.
Sure.
I'm in the statistical nerd, like, history, like, weird stuff sect, but there are people that like the band equally as great and as obsessive for different reasons.
Exactly.
And it's all good, it's all okay. But yeah, and it's fun to see. And I see things, and it's just human nature on things that you really enjoy, that I can see these similarities throughout. I'm sure like a Star Wars people could be like that as well.
Yeah.
I do love Star Wars myself, but like being deep in the culture and the fan base, you can find similarities. But like D&B, there's definitely people who like different things for different reasons. Like there are people, I will take a sloppy version of a song I've been chasing or never heard before to get it, to have it at an awful set list, be like, finally, there it is. And there are people that like, I would like them to play the most perfect burning down the house, please. I'd rather that than a messed up song. And I'm like, but I think messy things is what keeps the live act interesting. Like
Yes.
at the Gorge, I saw them just absolutely destroy a Rapunzel. But it was funny. When I was there, it didn't sound bad. When I listened to the tape, I'm like, okay, that's kind of. But
Yeah.
watching them try to find each other back to the song or come up with
Mhm.
a jam, that's interesting. Which, funny enough, on Almanac, I checked this. They're now keeping track of like longest ever. And then you go to it, it's like top 10 longest versions of a song. You go to Rapunzel, like the top 5 are all because it just busted apart. They're not like clean or someone guested Rapunzel's. They're just like, oh yeah, fell apart, went here, did I'm like, okay.
Right.
It's the funniest thing with that. But yeah, that's what keeps me going, because even if they aren't in their prime anymore, even like I listen to old live tracks, old tapes and stuff like that, and I hear them like, yeah, they were hungry doing like this, but they still have an interesting aspect. Yes, the songs are shorter now. Yes, all this, but like there's a right now interestingness in them, in the tightness that they play, and just like, I don't know, there's some. The enjoyment's still there, even if it's not as great as it once was, or something like that. There's still,
Right.
that little fire is still there in the old men version of DMB and what they're trying to do. There's still songs they haven't busted out in this formation that could sound different and interesting. And once in a while they get weird, but like I think they're lacking that weird exploratory night where this one song goes in a crazy direction nowadays, because I think they're a little. They like things to be a little bit cleaner now. I wish that would come, but you never know. It could still happen time to
You
time.
never know.
It's not like those were happening all the time through all the things. But I missed everybody has missed the heyday or better times. I've found it's just like anything else. Just like I was in a fraternity in college, and it was always like, oh, those weren't the good days. These were the good days, and the good days were
Right.
always the ones that you missed. And I'm a part of good days that people missed. Like when I was
That's right.
first going to shows, that was some dark times. That's what they were saying. It was dark times. And I remember being like on the board saying I like Break Free, and people were like, oh, Break Free. No, that's a celebrated tune. People were happy when it came back. The tell on all the hardcore message board, the guys that get labeled as haters, but they like the band. Any song that goes away becomes a favorite. That happens with a lot of them, because they want that, and this one gets played a lot more. So that one's like, Dive In was not one of the most heralded Big Whiskey songs. The thing that benefited it was it went away, and then people appreciated it more. But like that'll happen. Like Shotgun became this legendary song, and then that legendary song comes back, gets like 12 plays on a tour, and like, I'm down with that. Like, come on, folks. Like, you didn't attend every show on the tour. Like that's the thing. They get sick of things they're not at. It's hilarious. It's kind of gotten to parody with me on stuff. I enjoy those people. I love chatting with them. But like, I'm like, come on, you're kind of a parody of yourself when you say this stuff. And I have my gripes too. I can be laughed at myself, but yeah.
Everybody does, whether you want to call it a gripe or a,
Mhm.
inconvenience, whatever. But,
Right.
and that's one of the things that I've been exposed to on this show, just with so many fans being on here, is every single person has their wish list
Mhm.
and then their list of things that, were just okay.
The
And
part I'm
that's
going to
okay.
pee.
Yeah. I mean, that's just how this goes. Every person has their different thoughts and their different favorite songs. And I think that's another reason why the band has to remember, I'm sure that they love all of their songs because they've had such great success with them. But like, how many times is it fun to sing? I'm just going to say I love Crash, but how many times do they want to sing Crash in a tour? But they also have to remember that Crash and some of those earlier songs that we don't hear, or maybe that we do hear, but they're pop. People love the nostalgia about that, And so there's just so many aspects of, and I would love to be a fly on the wall and hear these thoughts, these meetings between Dave and the guys or whoever or whatever is involved in those situations of like, yes, this was a great set list, and here's why, and how I came with the idea of this is what I was going to play, because I know some thought goes into it. And so, and
Mhm.
sometimes it's more than thought, sometimes it's a dare. And I'll lead more into that later. But, who knows why they do what they do. But there is a reason. And I love being next to a person at a concert who this is just like one of their very first shows. And they just weep at the fact of hearing Satellite or Crash, because it was the gateway for them to find all of this.
I agree. So Grand Rapids 2021 show was not for me, but I had one of the best times at it. It's the weirdest thing. Like, set list, I went to Columbus the night before. Was awesome. Band came out for Grand Rapids, and I could tell they went a little too hard in Columbus the night before. They were very, you see them show to show, you can see a different vibe. Like Stefan was at Columbus, he was during Anyone Sing the Bridge, he like got down and was on his back playing his part on that, and I was
Yeah.
like, all right. And then the next
He
night,
was all in it.
He's like, I'm not moving tonight. I'm not.
His back hurt.
Yeah, his back hurt. So I was there, and I was I grabbed a ticket later. My friends were Brian and Torrance were off in another part. I picked side. So when I'm indoors, I pick the side. You get a cool angle. I don't care about the
Yeah.
screens if they're not there or whatever. And you get to watch Carter do stuff. You can watch the backstage. You can watch the guitar. It's awesome. I don't
Yes.
take my side seats, folks, if I'm giving away best kept secrets. They were like way down there. I'm just by myself having a show. And this girl and her mom were next to me, and she drug her mom. She was older. She wasn't like a child or anything.
Yeah.
But it's just the first time seeing them. She like won ticket on the radio or something or some weird stuff. And like she was so pumped for Satellite and Funny the Way It Is and You and Me and why I'm like,
Yes.
all right. But I was like, it was funny because that show I just knew was not going to go anywhere sky high that night. If you look at the set, it's not like a lot of bad songs, but it's like, I see these all the time, all together.
Right. Just like their core songs.
Yeah. It was like a lot of core, like the special song that I was again and again, like and this was in 2021. Nobody was like, that was my song tonight. Well, maybe there was. But so just sit there and I like that. They start the damn shakers on That Girl Is You. And I was like, oh boy, okay. I know where we're going tonight. Let's just sit back and, whatever's clever. And, I hadn't seen Stay or Leave or Rapunzel yet that year. So that was cool.
Yeah.
But like right from That Girl Is You, I just knew where that set was going that night. And it did. That was exactly, it was that Girl Is You, Funny, Satellite, and then like Seek Up came. I'm like, my friend was like, show's starting finally. I was like, nope, ain't gonna. I'm like, no, dude, it ain't going anywhere. And but I had a blast at that show though. That was cool, and I really wanted to see. So Madman's Eyes debuted the night before. I freaking loved it. I was like, this was nut, because no one knew what it was, and he didn't do his thing where he's like.
Right.
Like he just bust, and I wish he would do that with new songs where he just forces you on it rather than, oh, it's time to go pee, or forcing the audience to. And I love Madman's Eyes that night before. I couldn't get enough of it. I was listening to the Sirius rip of it over and over driving to Grand Rapids. And so I went to Madman's Eyes again. I knew they were going to play it night 2. I'm like, if there's one guarantee, they're going to play that new song again. And they did. And it was awesome. But yeah, that night it was just like my expectations were made right from song 1, like Shaker on song 1. And I had a blast. I was like, okay, I'm not going to mind going pee during this show, getting beers. I'm like, because they're going to drop anything. And they didn't, but I had a good time.
Yes.
Now, if I didn't have such a good show the night before, do I feel that way? Don't know.
Right.
But I was like, I'm at a show. I'd rather be at home.
Right.
And I was close. I had a good time leading up to the show. And yeah, it was like, I don't want to call it the worst show, but a show not for me, but still had a great time. So that's where my headspace can be now.
Yeah, no, for sure. I can too. Like, I can separate that. Like, hey, I didn't necessarily hear anything that was on my list for tonight, but I had a great time. The boys sounded good. And I just genuinely had a great time just being there. And that's possible. That's possible just because the vibe alone at the show, again, if you're in the right headspace and like you're willing to receive, like it can be awesome just being in the building or being at the venue and just being with the people that are there as well. So lots of different ways to enjoy a concert.
If that was someone's first show, they got like legit all the stuff out of the way.
Yeah, it was somebody's. And so somebody's day was completely made. And we've all had those days where our days were completely made. We're just chasing those second and thirds and fourths or whatever it may be, So I want to give it to those first guys, and watch them. That's part of the enjoyment for me. Just as a grown-up Dave Matthews Band fan, I like to watch the baby Dave Matthews Band fans. It's just fun for me.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's cool. People watch and see and talk to people. What do you want to hear? What are you going to hear?
Yeah.
Like, random stuff and like, it's quite interesting. And it's been fun for all the like. I'll be hitting 20 years of going to shows next year. Yeah,
seems wild, right?
It is wild. Yeah, and my life is completely different than when I first saw the show.
Everybody's was. And again, that's another beautiful thing is how this is just like interweaved in the lives that we're building, but just constant, as everyone says, the soundtrack of their lives. And so I can't thank you enough for joining in on the Space Between podcast and just adding your journey. And so thank you for helping me document that for future fans, for new fans, for old fans that enjoy the reminiscing part of this. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, no problem. I brought a prop to show you. I don't know if anyone's shown you this before, but I know you're a big fan of Live at Wrigley Field.
I am. It's my favorite.
So I bought the like cigar box version of it back in the day when it came out. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
No way. Yeah. No, I have not.
And it's really nifty. It's even got like the Major League Baseball logo on it.
No way.
And then I do these Blu-ray reviews and stuff, so I'm used to these unboxing things. So it comes in like that. And then under this is like a little booklet. And
my goodness.
It pulls open a tray and it's got a mini of the Night 2 poster. And wow. I have of the minis, this is number 3000. So
wow.
Your mission through this podcasting is to find the people who have the other 2,999 of them. I don't know. New stat for you. There you go to find. But I was like, I'll bring something for the viewing of it.
It's genuinely one of my favorites. And so, yeah, thank you for showing that to me.
And you could get Night 1 back then. Came with this, the double play. It was the double play is what they called this. So that's how you got
Makes
Night
sense.
1. Yeah.
Baseball terms, imagine.
Yep. Double play, triple play. Yep.
Yeah.
Fly out, infield fly, home run. Yeah.
Brandon, thank you so much again for being on the show. Yes, guys, if you're interested in sharing your journey, and again, your journey doesn't have to include that you've been to any shows. Anyone that loves this band is a fan, and that qualifies you to be on this show. So if you're interested, you can email me. It's so easy. You won't even have to write it down. Renae at the Space Between Podcast, dmb.com. So super easy. You say, hey, I want to share my journey. What we do is schedule you, and then bam, you're here, just like Brandon is today.
Mm-hmm.
So, guys, be sure to message me and stay on the lookout for who's going to be next. I invite you back for the next episode. Make sure that as you're following on your podcast app or on YouTube that you click that little bell so that every time it lets you know when a new podcast episode releases. But guys, in the meantime, peace, love, and Dave Matthews Band. Thank you so much.